Finally, we can start. It's okay. I'm Spanish, so I have the right to be a little bit late, elegantly late. Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, let me start with a story. This happened to me this summer in Lithuania. I was in the airport, and in the business lounge, I met two gentlemen. They were speaking Spanish, and I said, "Oh, why not? We really like to talk to our co-nationals when away." We started chatting, and we asked each other, "What do you do for a living?" And they told me, "We are engineers. We work for Airbus." "What do you do for a living?" They asked me. Say, "I'm a consultant specialized in Agile." And they were like, "Wow, we thought you were a nice person. Now we don't like you anymore." I was, but why is that? Why so much hate? And they say, since we do Agile in our company, everything became very bureaucratic and very slow. So many new meetings, so many new documents, so many new processes. Everything should be in Jira. And I was thinking, well, actually, we wanted to create exactly the opposite environment. So why is this happening? Unfortunately, nowadays, in many companies, when they decide to implement Agile, they just put new Agile processes on top of what they have, because everybody does it without having a clear understanding of what is Agile and what do they want it for. So this is unfortunate, but too frequent. And maybe it's because we don't have a common frame of reference. The problem with the construct is that it's very difficult to define in a common way. When we say chair, everybody understands the same object because it's a chair. It's something that we can see. But when we say leadership, when we say Agile, when we say proactivity or teamwork, we might be meaning different things. And this is something that, in my opinion, happened with Agile. For some people, Agile is building things faster. For some others, it's adapting better. For some others, is happiness for developers. Who is right? Well, maybe all of them, or maybe none of them. But something is clear, without a common reference, definitely it's not going to happen what we need to happen and what we want to happen. So as leaders, it's key to be able to create a frame of reference. So let's create a frame of reference for us, so we have a common definition. This is something that we should be doing as leaders. So what is Agile? And for that, I think it's very important to start differentiating on what do we see in the market and what do we need in our company. What we see in the market is too much Agile practices, implementing Scrum or Kanban or your favorite practice. What we don't see, unfortunately, is agility. So the ability of a business to respond to changes in the market. Unfortunately, I think we didn't succeed yet on making agility as a strategic matter for companies. We in the community were complaining because business were not understanding how IT works. The question is, do we understand how the business works? Do we understand how a company works? Without that understanding, we'll never succeed at agility, which is what is needed in the industry. There is too much Agile practices, too little business agility. So why is this happening? Well, because we don't have a clear understanding, a clear definition. I encourage you to ensure that you have the same message all across your company. Everybody understands the same thing. And it's something that is compelling to you, that makes sense in your company, that you need for your business to succeed. In my interpretation, business agility is an organizational skill. But for that skill, for its ability to respond to changes in the context, you need some prerequisite. You need some preconditions. You can't be responsive if you're not good at using the resources you have. You can't be responsive if you're not efficient first. And it doesn't make sense to be efficient if you are not confident about the quality of your product or service. So quality is in the core. First, we put attention on the quality. When you have enough amount of quality, you have to put attention of efficiency. When you have enough efficiency, you can have a proportionally bigger amount of responsiveness or agility. And in the future, as the world becomes every time more uncertain, we might need to go beyond agility and become resilient. If agility is the ability of a business to respond to changes, when the business decides to respond, because there is a new market, because there is a new customer that you want to tackle, that you want to serve, resilience is the ability of a business to respond when there is no other choice. Because not responding will mean the disappearance of the company. You can't be resilient if you're not agile first. But this is another definition. This is the next conversation. Maybe this is the next conference about the resilience. But let's dig deeper on what makes a company more agile as a business. For a company, in my framework, in my model, in my interpretation, in this frame of reference that I'm generating here with you, a company can't be agile if their operations are not agile. That means the way in which we put products and services to the usage of our customers. When we talk about Scrum, when we talk about product development, when we talk about Kanban, most of the time we are relating it to the operational side of the company. IT is operations. But this is just one side of the coin. And this coin has 4 sides. So it's a dice, right? It's six dice. 6 one will have a dice, but this one has 4. So the other side is the finances and legal. A company can't be agile, can't be responsive if we are not responsive in the way in which we use our assets, our financial assets, and we recover assets from the market. And of course, if we go to jail in the process, or the company needs to be closed, definitely it won't be agile. So we need to ensure that we are legally compliant. So in order for a company to be agile, also the compliance and legal, and also the financial side of the company should be agile. And this goes way beyond implementing Scrum in the financial department. It's about responsiveness in the usage of budget, in CapEx, OpEx, etc. The next one is the market position. A company can't be agile if we're not capable to create a connection with the customer and position ourselves in a way that is adapting to the changes in the customer behaviors. And in an equivalent way, a company can't be agile if we don't use our human talent in an agile way. That means distributing control and being able to work in teams and make decisions fast. If people are not used to make decisions when in a daily basis, we won't be able to be responsive when we choose to adapt to a specific change in the context. So this that I just did for you is articulating a frame of reference. So ensuring that we have a clear understanding. Is it right? Is it wrong? It's not important to be right or wrong. It's important to be useful. We don't want to be right. We want to be useful. And this is what we want to do as leader. Articulate frames of reference so we all have a common understanding. Not willing to be right, but ensuring that it's useful. So what is leadership? In the definition I bring for you, leadership is the ability of an individual to influence in a group, to take care of a specific gap, a specific problem, a specific dissatisfaction. And in a company, this happens through a lot of conversations, I like to quote this famous Chilean author, Rafael Echeverría, that says, conversations represent the soul of a company. They define a level of performance, profitability, competitiveness, challenges, and achievements. success and failure. Because a company is a network of conversations. There are thousands of conversations. So obviously leaders should be masters of conversations. For this, I have a story. I have a story for you. My father, may he rest in peace, he was a boxer. He was practicing boxing for many years. He actually never wanted me to practice boxing, so I practiced karate for many years, like my friends here. And he used to tell me, everyone in the street, they think they know how to fight. When they brag or they get angry, they think they know how to fight. But it's different thinking that you know how to fight than having a specific strategy. Practice consciously what are the abilities that you need to become a fighter. Speed, balance, strength, so on and so forth. So you know what you're doing. Definitely, it's not the same to receive a punch from a random person in the street than receive a punch from a professional fighter. Well, exactly the same happened with conversation. Everyone thinks that we know how to handle a conversation. Of course. The question is, do you have a strategy? Do you know what you're doing? Do you have a plan? Do you know what are the specific skills that you need to work on so you become more effective at these conversations? And this is the core of the leadership dance floor. This is the core of my framework. Why the dance floor? Okay. Well, no worries. You don't need to dance. It's just a metaphor. You don't need to dance to be a leader, even though I love dancing too. But I think this metaphor that we're going to read together very carefully can help us understanding more. So in dance, as in life, leadership is not about commanding, but inviting. It's not about leading the other, but leading with the other. The leader offers direction, but it's the follower who chooses, has the choice to accept or interpret that suggestion. A good leader constantly listens the partner and adjust the rhythm. So create a space in which both can shine is the way to succeed as a leader. So this metaphor is the core of the framework I'm going to present to you. Understanding leadership as a relationship in which invitation, in which decision, in which shining commonly is the key for success. So let's start explaining one by one what is the structure of this framework. And please, I don't have the time. No, I have 15 minutes before finishing. Right? Okay, yes, I want to ensure that I do everything on time. So there are 4 skills that are key for a leader. The first one is to listen. Of course, we all know how to listen. When I say listen, I mean the ability of an individual to understand and legitimize the logic of the others. It's not about hearing or being, not even actively. Say, I understand what you say. I completely disagree, but I understand. No, it's about ensuring that it also makes sense for you if you were that person. An example of that is, oh, there is so much resistance to change in my company. That already means you're not capable to listen because you already said that these people are wrong. You might hear what they say, you might hear the point of view, but your declaration is already saying that you won't be ready to listen because they are wrong. They are resisting, and they should not resist. People come to me and say, Angel, how can I make people change? Because they are wrong, and I'm right. Well, you won't be able because you start from not being able to listen. So the answer to why is people resisting to change is, well, most probably because they have information that you don't have. Most probably because there is something very important that they want to take care of, and it's not important for you, and you don't know it yet. So better understand what is important for them. What do they want to preserve? What do they want to keep? The next skill is inquiring. Inquiring is making information visible that is not visible up to that moment because it's hidden. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident. You know, as by accident, most probably is lost. Is inquiring. Okay, so it's okay, no worries. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delegate to my new assistant. So here you have a pen. Here you have paper. Please write inquiry. So, you know, as I said, inquiry is about making visible information that is not visible. I mean, the company, particularly when it's a big company, is very difficult to find information that sometimes is in the corridors, is in the water coolers, is in small, short talks. And maybe the CEO is not aware about that information and is needed for his work or her work. So that is being able to uncover information that is hidden. The next one is articulating. Articulating is the ability of a leader to make out of information that is non-usable and disconnected, information that is connected and usable. For example, when people say, my team is not proactive, that's not articulated. We can't use that. What is being proactive? I don't know. If we turn that into an example, so for me, being proactive is when you need to make a decision that involves a budget under $100, you can make it yourself and refund the customer. When it's over 100, you can ask me. That is a clear articulation of what proactive means. Yeah? So articulating is making out of information that is not usable, information that is usable. The last one is anchoring. So anchoring is the ability of the leader to ensure that what was promised turns into reality. All relationships involve expectations. When you are in a relationship, you as a leader, you expect something from the others, and the others expect something from you. Anchoring is turning expectations into promises, promises that happen. Expectations are often not fulfilled. Promises sometimes are fulfilled. So creating good promises is a key skill in a leader, and ensuring that the promises keep on working in time. If a leader is capable to ensure that people fulfill what they promise, and it happens continuously, create a trust environment. That's why it's so important skill. So those are the 4 skills. Let's talk now about the 9 conversations of the framework. We said we have a strategy, which is the 9 conversations, and we have the skills that we need to practice. Some people ask me, is the leader born or the leader can be made? Well, like in any sport, both are true. There are people that are more talented and they are naturally better at these skills. There are people that need to practice more. But not having a strategy or not having a plan is a guarantee for not succeeding. At least with a strategy and with a plan, we can improve and become better, starting from what we naturally have. So this nice conversation starts this way. The first one is the relationship frame. Is before entering into the dance floor. The first step in every dance is the invitation. Do you want to dance? Yes. And that creates an agreement. That creates boundaries that are critical for the relationship to succeed in time. This is as simple as asking your team, what do you expect from me? And telling your team in clear terms, articulated, what do you expect from them? And improving that in time. You're a Scrum Master? Team, what do you expect from me as a Scrum Master? This is what I expect from you. From there, people might be asking things from you that are not possible. I expect from you that you ensure that the company is successful. I can't promise that. We have to renegotiate. I can promise you I can do my best to work in this product and ensure that we are going in the direction that is compatible with the company's vision. That I can promise. Yeah, that's what we call anchoring a relationship, anchoring a relationship framework. Yeah? So ensure that the relationship is clear and works in time. The next conversation is the context conversation. Where does it hurt? What problem do we want to solve? If you ask in any company, 100 people, most probably, you will have 100 different answers to the question, what is the most important thing to take care of in this company? What is the biggest problem in the company? You will have 100 different answers. The ability of a leader is to ensure that we have the same one in a specific moment. And in a specific moment, we agree to take care of something specific. Because people are not going to follow you as a leader. They are going to follow the solution to a problem that you are offering and is important for them. So the more people you ensure that they agree that there is something to take care of in the same way, the more people are going to follow you. I remember one small story when I was working in ING. I was coming back from the gym with one good friend, and he was making fun of me because I wanted to change the whole company. It was a 100 and 500 people company, and I was not very important in the company. I was very low in the hierarchy, and he was making fun of me. How do you plan to change the company if you're not a leader? You're no one. And I told him, if your boss tells you to jump, tells the team to jump, the team will jump. That doesn't make the boss the leader, because people should jump. It's the boss ordering that. But when you tell your boss to jump and your boss jumps, that makes you a leader. So my boss was already jumping. And several years after, we got 16 different countries of ING jumping. Of course, they all thought that they jumped because they decided to, and it did. But somebody ignited that decision to jump. They were not following me. They were following the solution to a problem that I was offering them to solve. So those two conversations are formed by the context and the next one, which is the purpose conversation. The context is, what problem do we want to solve? And the purpose is, what future do we want to create? Without a gap, there is no need for leadership, because people don't follow the leader. People follow the solution to that gap. You're offering to fix a breach. And this is something that I learned is very important to do in a company when you're trying to implement Agile, when you're trying to implement Scrum, when we're trying to lead in any direction. We want to be Agile. Why? What problem are we trying to solve? No, we want to do Agile because everybody is doing Agile. It's not going to work. It would be nice to do Agile. It's not going to work. You are going to pretend because your boss told you to implement Agile. What problem are we trying to solve? Is there something that hurts, that creates dissatisfaction in the company, that Agile can help with? Yes. How would it look like when Agile is there helping us solving that problem? This way. We want that future. Then leadership will start. How do we know that Agile is working for us? What problem are we trying to solve? Without this, any other conversation will be a waste of time. Starting talking about any framework or any process or any tool before having a clear understanding of what problem are you trying to solve and where do you want to go will be a waste of time and money. Next, the leader should get ready to influence others because the leader will have his own interpretation of this gap. And leadership, we said, is not about convincing the others that I'm right. It's about building a path with the others. So if I'm not capable to change myself first, I won't be able to help others to change. How can I convince people? It's not going to work because they're not going to see their identity in you. You need them to see their identity in you. And for that, you need to be able to change yourself. This is the difference between what the leader should do and who the leader should be. Because the people around you should see themselves reflected in you in order to lead them. For that, there are three conversations in which the leader reflects, three internal conversations in which the leader reflects and becomes more aware about who is he being and who does he need to be as a leader. Being aware is key because awareness creates choice. When you realize who are you being, how is it working, who do you need to be, open the door for new possibilities, open the door for new ways of interacting with others. This is what we call the mindset shift. If we're not capable to change our mindset, if we're not capable to reconsider our perspective, we won't be able to lead. How do we change our mindset? This is the small framework that I created for mindset shifts. When we behave in a specific way, it's normally because that brings results we like. Sometimes we declare, sometimes we don't. When we say we don't go to the gym because we don't have time, might be true or maybe not so true. Maybe it brings me better results, which is not going to the gym because I watch Netflix, more comfortable. And this keeps me in this loop in the top, not going to the gym because I watch Netflix. Brings me good results. Often, I'm not aware of the negative results, the cost that is bringing me long-term, keeping the behavior I have so far. So only when I raise my awareness, only when I understand what is the price I'm paying for the current behavior, and I don't like that, I might be starting to change. Only when the cost of keeping the current situation is too high, I will be able to change. So when we observe this cost, we explore new options. Do not try to help others reconsidering the way they see the reality, reconsidering their mindset, without first showing them the cost. Don't explain people what is a backlog without ensuring that the people understand the cost of not being able to work in a product in a dynamic way, because they will use the backlog in a predictive way, because they are used to work that way. What can we do as leaders? Show the cost. Show the cost. When people are aware of the cost, generates the will to change the mindset. When we change the mindset, new options appear. If we give the options without a mindset shift, they will be doing exactly the same with a new name, as is happening now in many companies. Many companies implement Scrum or implement Agile or like Airbus. but only in the name. In reality, nothing changed because the mindset was exactly the same. With the same mindset, you will get exactly the same results with nicer names if you want. When these options turns into reality, we have the actions conversations. So these three together, this changing who we are as a leader. So it generates new options for us as leaders. And then those options turns into new actions that would bring me new results connected to my purpose. In a parallel way, it happens with the groups. We said the leadership is the influence of an individual in a group. So when I change my mindset, I will be able to help others change their mindset. When I visualize new options, I can help others presenting new options. And when I have new commitments, I can help others creating new commitments. Great, perfect. We are perfectly on time. So using a metaphor from Peter Drucker that says culture eats strategy for breakfast, that means nothing is more important than culture. If we don't change the culture, we won't be able to change the results we have. With the same culture, we'll have the same results. And this is bad news because it's very difficult to change the culture. The good news is that we can reinterpret what does it mean to change the culture. Sometimes we think that changing the culture is becoming somebody else. That doesn't make any sense. It's like if I come here to Japan and I can change your culture so you become more Spanish. That would be not only impossible, but also even disrespectful. So you have your right to be yourself. Definitely, there are things that in your culture might be more difficult to do than in other cultures. For example, in Latin America, cultures, in Colombia or Ecuador, Peru, they tend to be more chaotic, which is bad for some things, but good for others. So they are good with creativity because they live comfortable in chaos. Here in Japan, for what I observe, there is less chaos. Everything is very organized. Of course, it doesn't make any sense to try to make Japan chaotic. But if we learn to purposefully be a little bit chaotic temporarily for a specific purpose of a specific time, with that slight influence might make us a little bit more innovative in a specific moment. Doesn't mean to change completely, but being able to influence a temporary shift so that we achieve new results. We cannot become chaotic maybe here in Japan, but we can learn to, in space, be chaotic for a little bit for the sake of specific purpose. So that's cultural influence. And without that cultural influence, definitely we won't be able to get new results. It's not about culture is good, or this culture is good, or this culture is bad. It's about this culture is more helpful for specific results, and this culture is more helpful for these other specific results. So if we intentionally choose what is the influence, what is the shift we need to make in our culture, will we be better at doing more things? Why do we keep our culture? Well, because we build some narratives based on specific results. For example, for what I heard, here in Japan, it's very difficult to say no to your boss, correct? It's difficult to say, it's not understood as a good things to do in your company. So why we keep saying yes to the boss? Because it brings positive results. People respect me for that. I have recognition, I have safety, etc. And that reinforces specific behavior and creates a narrative. The narrative is you can't say no to your boss. If I need to change that behavior, it should be because it's generating a specific result that I don't like. So it might generate a temporary shift in the narrative. So for example, as we don't say no, we implemented the features that were not useful because we were not able to say no. And the cost was 1 million, 10 millions yen, whatever, right? So this is the cost, and the cost is reputation, and the cost is pain, and the cost, when the cost becomes too high, when the cost becomes higher, we start exploring new narratives. So what is other way? Okay, how about saying no, but there is this other options for this space? Yes, and we have to consider that this negative result can be part of the product. This negative result can be happening. So that would help us changing small narratives. So in this space, we can say no. In this matter, we can say no. If we demonstrate with numbers, we can say no. And that creates a new narrative. From that narrative, we can generate new possibilities, a new way of interacting with my boss, new relationship. And though that new relationship will turn into new practices, and these practices will bring me to new results. So altogether are these three conversations that are handled in the group: the culture conversation, the possibilities conversations, change the culture, open for new possibilities, possibilities chosen and made into reality becomes practices. Remember that these conversations in the leader dimension, oh, here is opposite. It's okay. These conversations in the leader dimension are internal conversations, conversation in preparation. And these group conversations are focused on the people that we are influencing. To summarize the reflection question that I'd like you to think about, I'd like to offer you this question. For the results you want to see in your company, who do you need to be? Not what do you need to do. We heard too much about what to do. Who do you need to be is the thing that I encourage you to think about. So if you want to know more about this framework, I recently released this book that is called the Leadership Dancefloor. You have it available in Japan in the QR code there in Amazon. And if you are outside of Japan, you have to use the other QR. If you are super excited about the framework and you really want to dig deeper, I already trained more than 3,000 people in this framework all over the world. So I'm offering certified Agile leadership classes where I explain this model. So different trainers has a different approach for Agile leadership. This is my leadership approach. So if you want to join one of the trainings, you have a QR so you can learn more about the programs about it. And that's me. In case you want to talk, you have any questions, any doubts, of course, now we have this time for questions. If you want to have a conversation with me, just feel free to scan that QR and schedule a session with me. It will be my pleasure to talk to you. And that's all from my side. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. That might be a good sign or bad sign. I don't know if online they have any question.
What do you think is the most difficult part about executing this framework? The most difficult?
I think it's subjective, but if you ask me, definitely changing yourself. Because the first approach to any change is the others are wrong, I'm right. And only when I'm capable to be open to reconsider my perspective, I would be able to lead others. But it feels so good to be right that it's very difficult to be useful. So that, I think, is my opinion, the most difficult one. Any other questions?
Your approach if you were to coach someone who wants to, okay, what would be your approach if you had like a client who say, I'm right, and they're wrong? And it's not really likely that they are willing to change, or they have realized that there might be a better impact if they were to change.
Actually, you already have the answer to that. I was explaining before. How do you change mindset? You change mindset when you see the cost of the current situation. I'm right, the others not. Yes, you are super right. I love you. You're super right. And what is the cost of keeping the position you have? No, but the others are. You only can show them what is the cost. The change of mindset can happen in a second or never, but it's something that you don't have control of. It's like, for example, stop smoking, right? For some people, they just go to the doctor, see the picture of the lung and say, "Ooh, I have to stop smoking." Some people, they even need to die to later think about stop smoking. So show the cost. On top of that, show the cost, and I'm here spoiling pieces of the book, but you have to show a personal cost. When we declare purpose, we all have two types of purposes. One, that is what I say I want. I want the company to be successful with this product. And what I don't say, which is I want more money, more recognition, I want to grow in my career, that I don't say. We cannot forget about those hidden purposes. We need to include them in the equation. Nobody is going to fight against their own interest. So when the impact is a personal impact, oh, so you want to be more recognized with that behavior, you're not going to be more recognized, you're going to be less recognized. When we understand these drivers and we tackle these drivers, people will make decisions to change, because we don't make decisions as professionals as much as we make decisions as humans. So you have to touch the human nature of the person for the person to really trigger a change. All right.
I'm very sorry to say that we are running out of time.
I will be available around, so if you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.